Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
Where we are getting down to the nitty gritty and talking about the real stories and getting past just the float of the top on the iceberg.
Yes, and we have a lot of that today, Bill, don't we?
Boy, do we ever. And we've got a
Yes.
storm coming. Ian looks nasty.
Yes, I think that they've raised it to a Category 4, Bill, which is
155 miles an hour right now as it's heading for Tampa. Everything's closed down in Tampa. We have a lot of school closings to talk to you about here. Savannah-Chatham County schools here have not closed yet. They are on standby at this point, but some of our surrounding area schools are closing.
yes, I believe Tidy
The
closed their.
Maritime Academy has closed its doors. I don't know why they did it today. They're going to wait until tomorrow, but we're going to be affected sometime by the weekend. The scary thing is that with any of these storms, we really don't know what Ian is going to do. Going to come across Florida, and one prediction is that it's going to exit somewhere around Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra, come back, hit the Atlantic, gain power, and then come back and hit us. So we don't know yet. We're going to get tropical storm something.
Yeah, I think that they have like 5 to 6 different paths it could take, depending on, what happens when it hits Florida and where it goes from there.
And as the old saying goes, do you feel like panicking? Will it help? No, it won't. And the panic buying, for goodness sakes, don't go over and overstock things. Leave things for somebody else. In fact, I was at Sam's yesterday. They were limiting 5 pallets of water, or not pallets, but the
5 cases.
cases
Yeah.
per customer.
That seems
and that's
reasonable.
That's what a lot of stores are starting to do, especially during the pandemic. I remember when that first started. I missed the part of of COVID that caused diarrhea, because all of a sudden toilet paper was not to be found. I mean, that was being sold on the black market, as a matter of fact.
Well, I read something that said that it was like a comfort to have toilet paper. I don't understand
Well,
that.
how
I'm more
nice.
comforted with having some food and some
How
water,
about, what kind of comfort it is if you don't have toilet paper? So so people were walking out. I said, and I even said then, I said, why don't stores just limit people to one case of this stuff? And not, but I saw one lady coming out of Sam's, and she's got 2 carts that had nothing but toilet paper in it. And then there's a sign there after spending a half an hour in line saying, "We're out of toilet paper." Well, thank you, Sherlock Holmes. So the panic buying is something that you don't need to do. Just be prepared. In fact, you should be prepared already. We live in a hurricane area, and we're going to have these storms that come along every once in a while. So just be prepared. You should have your kits, your exit plan. If we do need to evacuate, that should all be taken care of by now, long before now.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, also just continuing to stay up to date on the news. I think that that's another thing. People just have tuned out of the news based on the last couple of years. But you
Can't
do
blame
need to
them.
know what's going on with these hurricanes.
But we'll keep you posted as well, and we'll have everything on our website. You can go to granewsmedia.com and find out any other information that you want to as well.
Yes. And, right now they're estimating that it's going to be about $45 billion worth of damage in Florida.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's going to just devastate. It looks like from Port Charlotte down to Naples, which is going to be the hardest hit. So, we're praying for those people, and we hope that, they had the opportunity to evacuate and get out of there so that they stay safe.
Governor DeSantis has already said that if you were thinking about evacuating, this ain't the time to be thinking about it. You ought to be doing it.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
If you've seen the pictures of the big red areas of that storm, get the heck out of the way. They are dangerous. They are deadly.
Yes.
Please.
And we've seen this happen time and time again. You staying there isn't going to do you any good.
In fact, it not only does it put you in danger, but if you call for help, sometimes help is not going to be able to come because of the conditions, or it puts their lives in danger as well. So please think about those first responders too.
Yes, absolutely. And not only that, you can get your animals out. There's so much benefit to evacuating when you know it's the time to go.
Most places are very pet friendly now. You can take your animals with you, and there's no problem of checking into a hotel somewhere up the road, bed and breakfast, whatever it is, and bring your dog, cats, whatever with you.
Yep. I do love that. That's the way we've moved is being pet friendly. So, make sure that you guys are just following directions from the governors too. I think Kemp has also issued a state of emergency for us starting tomorrow.
Starts, I believe, at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's about the time that where Georgia's really going to start feeling the effects. If you're here in the Savannah area, you're going to start feeling some of the effects this afternoon. Already feels like almost a winter morning out there at this point. But you're going to start a dry morning this morning, and then you're probably some showers later on this afternoon, and then could have the deluge come through the weekend. And so we'll be talking about canceling things that are canceling. As far as the schools around the area and other businesses, there's supposed to be Eastman is supposed to be having one of their gun shows this weekend as well. That may be canceled. We haven't heard any word on that as yet.
Yes, but SCAD is closing their administrative and academic buildings starting tomorrow and Friday. And I believe Tybee is closing their government buildings as well. Mm-hmm. So those are the ones that we are currently aware of. Stay tuned on the Savannah. They haven't made a decision yet. But I will say, just stay safe out there. I believe we'll probably see a lot of schools closing as well.
Yeah, so. No doubt that just about all the schools will be closing, probably starting tomorrow. In many cases, some have already closed now. I think Jasper County, right across the river from us in South Carolina, has closed their schools already. And some of the other areas around us as well, Wayne County, Long County, have
McIntosh,
also,
Liberty.
Have closed their schools today.
Yes. So everyone, stay safe, get prepared. I believe they're also doing sandbags in a lot of these cities and counties. So I would go on the website and see if you can find out where you can get some sandbags if you're in need of those.
Mm-hmm. It is, these storms are not to be taken lightly. And if the governor says you should be evacuating, you need to evacuate.
Absolutely.
So please, you can replace stuff. I know it's inconvenient. And you're worried about what's happening back home, but believe me, we'll recover from this just like we recover from the others.
Yeah, and sometimes, I know that my parents always had like one suitcase, like a briefcase, mm-hmm. that had all important documents, any photos or anything that they felt like were irreplaceable, so they could easily grab it when an evacuation happened. So.
In fact, in this day and age, we were warned. This is years ago. I heard a guy make a talk at our Kiwanis club. Said you should start digitizing everything. Get all your scrapbook, all this stuff together, and put that. You can if we have to go, you can leave the scrapbook behind as much as you don't want to. You need space in the car. Mm-hmm. You can take everything with you on just one little SD card.
Yes. I think that's a great point, Bill. And, there's plenty of ways we can get prepared ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. And there are also pet-friendly shelters. In case if you do have to leave your pet behind, there are shelters that stay open pet-friendly as well.
Yes, and I believe they've moved a bunch of animals up from Florida already. Mm-hmm. And I think that they came from another shelter. So they're looking for forever homes. And I believe that's in South Carolina. So they have moved a lot of the animals already.
But and think about your medicines, what you might need as well. So that's all part of what's it's in the hurricane preparedness kit. Have your extra medicine, have your all stuff ready for your pets, and all your toiletries, and then get the heck out of Dodge.
Yes. So we'll stay tuned on word from Governor Kemp as far as Georgia goes, and mm-hmm. Governor DeSantis has already instructed people to evacuate.
But understand that Stacey Abrams, the real governor of Georgia, is giving you another piece of advice for the hurricane as well.
I have not heard this, Bill. This is news to me.
Oh, you need to be vaccinated.
Oh, I think that came from President Biden.
Did it come from President Biden?
It did. It did. I do think we have a clip of that somewhere as well.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now. Everything is more complicated if you're not vaccinated and a hurricane or a natural disaster hits.
I
don't even know how to respond to that.
That is not sound advice for hurricane preparedness. I hate to break it to you, Joe Biden. That is terrible advice.
That's you can't make this up. Did he say Texas?
Yes, because they're also known for having hurricanes. So just in case they get a hurricane, everyone ahead of time should be mm-hmm. vaccinated and prepared for hurricane season.
Mm-hmm. Well, New Jersey has them too.
So.
Yeah, that's our commander in chief.
Yeah, still peddling those vaccinations.
I have never
That's all
seen,
they care about. It's so weird.
I have never seen anything like this, and because there hasn't ever been anything like this, of getting the Fauci ouchie or else. And there was good news about that because there was a judge, a New York City Supreme Court justice, actually said, or is it Superior Court, whatever it is that they have in New York City, has said that the New York City Police Department has to rehire every police officer they laid off because they didn't get the Fauci ouchie. I hope they get them back pay as well.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing, Bill. Do you really want to work for an organization that the leadership believes that that's what they should be doing?
Well, no, but how many other? Where else can you go? Come on down to Savannah. We're starting police officers now at $50,000. And if you're in one of those areas like up north and you say $50,000, that's not in the sunny South. $50,000 is a big salary. You can live high on the hog, as we say in the South, on $50,000 a year, and that's the starting salary we have now for our Savannah police officers. Just had a story last night. Sheriff John Wilcher here in Chatham County is also looking. He's over 150 officers short at the jail and the sheriff's office.
Yep, so, and then Chatham County is also short officers. So we have a lot of police departments here in Chatham County that would love to have the officers.
Come on
that,
down.
Maybe we're disrespected by the New York Police Department.
And as the sheriff said, and he said now their starting salary is between $36,000 and $42,000, depending on that
experience.
All the overtime you want. He said he had one officer that was on a $36,000 salary last year, made $74,000.
Wow.
With his overtime. So he said get all the overtime that you want because they are very, very short on officers. I even heard. You can't get your mind around these figures of the number of police officers that cities need are the ones who have laid off. Raymond Arroyo on the Fox News channel was saying the other night, how bad. Congratulations, New Orleans is now taking over as the murder capital of the country. St. Louis had so you folks in St. Louis can rest a little easier. New Orleans is the new number one, but they are 900 police officers short in their department. 900.
Aren't they going to civilian people to help with some of these situations?
The businesses in the French Quarter, which is which is one of the reasons you go to New Orleans, have started hiring private police forces.
That's crazy, Bill. What do we pay taxes for? If we're that is one of the main things is for them to protect the citizens. And when you can't go out for a nice dinner in a city like New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is beautiful if you've never been there. The people are fantastic.
And you can get a nice dinner.
And the food, whew. It competes with Savannah, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, ain't nothing like Cajun cooking. All right, this is Get Real America coming up next.
We're going to be talking about what's going on with the candy supply in our country.
Halloween's coming.
I do absolutely agree that it's racist. It is a redux of Jim Crow in a suit and tie.
America has a long history of systemic racism.
You ain't black.
America has a pre-existing condition. It's called racism.
Senator Warnock believes America is a bad country full of racist people. I believe we're a great country full of generous people. Warnock wants to divide us. I want to bring us together. I'm Herschel Walker. I approve this message.
The last 3 years, Georgia's been tested in ways we could never imagine. And it fell to Governor Brian Kemp to successfully lead us during these troubling times. Georgia is still first in the nation for business. Our unemployment rate is the lowest in state history. Today, people come to Georgia to succeed, start a business, raise a family. Kemp has always backed the blue, stopping the radical left from defunding local police. He passed a tough new election integrity bill that, as the governor likes to say, made it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And while some during COVID-19 shut down their economy, Kemp kept our schools and businesses open while keeping Georgians safe. A long list of accomplishments. Fighting human trafficking, increasing teacher pay, greater access to quality health care. A governor who works for Georgians. All of us. Governor Brian Kemp.
Let me tell you guys something.
You know, every time I go out to speak, everybody want a sound bite. I'm going to give you a sound bite really quick. I'm sick and tired of people putting this country down. They want to ask me why I'm running. Let's be real. I'm sick and tired. You look at the economy, you look at the gas prices. You can't buy a grocery now. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for me to get out and fight. Because I'm going to tell you, I love to win. I said, put me in the game, coach. I'm ready to play. If you ever seen me play, I can play. Have you ever seen me fight, I can fight. No matter how hard they come, how hard I can fight. I'm sick and tired of this. Tell your friends to get out and vote. I'm not here to be a politician. I'm here to be a warrior. Protect this country, protect our citizens, and protect our kids. No weapon formed against me shall ever prosper. Boom! That's it, baby!
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Wednesday morning hump day, and we're keeping an eye on the tropics right now. And there's another storm that may be brewing out in the Atlantic. Nothing to worry about at this point. Hopefully that's just going to be a fish storm, but Ian is something we need to worry about. Earlier in the last segment, we had mentioned that some schools closing. Most of them are going to be closing starting tomorrow and not today. So let me just go down the list, and I'll put my glasses on because this isn't in Braille. So we have Glenn County Schools, that's Brunswick. They're going to be closed tomorrow and Friday. Long County Schools will be tomorrow and Friday as well. Same with McIntosh County. St. Leo University has moved all their classes to online for the rest of this week. So that's where we stand here. Wayne County Schools closed tomorrow and Friday, as well as Jasper County Schools. That's right across the river from us in South Carolina. So there's the latest on the school closings. Savannah-Chatham County Schools have not announced closings as of yet.
But we'll keep you guys posted on that.
All right. So,
Bill, I don't know how much worse it can get. I think...
I don't want to find out.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. I think we should reroute this ship. But, you know, with all of the things we reported on, you know, this multicolored, smarty-looking fentanyl that was coming across the border... And then we have stuff going on in the north where, I mean, I can't believe that they're able to sell children candy that is now just fentanyl candy.
And here we are 4 weeks away from Halloween, what you need to know to protect your children.
Yes, and I think we have a clip from Fox News that we can pull right now.
Two Maryland men are charged with trafficking 15,000 fentanyl pills into Connecticut, disguised in, look at this, these candy boxes that our kids love. This just 1 month after the DEA issued a warning about parents about those rainbow-colored fentanyl pills, which appear to be marketed toward children. So with Halloween right around the corner, what do we need to know as parents to keep our kids safe? Former DEA Special Operations Director Derek Maltz joins me now with more. Derek, tell us more about this. They're disguising these fentanyl pills. Who are they targeting? Are they selling these to kids?
Absolutely, Ainsley. Thank you for having me. First of all, I want to just say thank you to the DEA task force in Hartford, keeping the poison off the street. 15,000 pills can kill about 6,000 people if it's fentanyl. And we know now the DEA says that 40% of the pills contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. What we need to know is that the parents must be educated on this historic crisis that we're seeing. Unprecedented amount of kids dying as young as 13 years old when they're on the internet, when they're on the social media sites. Everyone's obsessed with these smartphones in their bedroom, and the cartels are taking total advantage of that. The cartels are in the business to make money. They're trying to take advantage of the addicted population. They're also trying to take advantage of the kids who don't know any better. These are not real drugs. These are fake drugs. The whole illicit drug supply, not just pills, Ainsley, is tainted with poisonous, deadly fentanyl, and it's flooding our streets like we've never seen.
Unbelievable, Bill.
That is so scary. It's unbelievable. I don't know what the end game is here. Whether they want to kill all the kids and then there's no population, so they don't have anybody to take advantage of or get money from. I don't understand it. Where do these? But where are these things on the shelves?
I don't know. So
where do these? Where's this stuff come from?
So these were actually 2 Maryland men that were selling this stuff. So I don't know if they were just on the street selling it to them. I'm not exactly sure where they're also getting like these nerd boxes. Like that's pretty scary for them to have that kind of packaging.
Well, the cartels have unlimited thanks to the Biden administration and the Biden's crime syndicate, with all these people coming across the border, all the money that the cartels are making. They have a supply of everything. I mean, they have probably the finest printing devices and the manufacturing devices on known demand. So they can just print these things up, make it look exactly like the real thing. I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really scary because I'm also hearing that there's this fad on TikTok, which is, the propaganda that China wants us to see, or our children to see, is, take this pill, get this candy, do this thing. And they're really infiltrating children, especially when you see that they really are taking advantage of the fact that our kids have their phones in their bedrooms at night. They're constantly on these things. They're addictive by nature. And, the messaging is just, they are really good at this, Bill. So it's infiltrating our kids. You just heard there are kids dying as young as 13 from this stuff, Bill.
We need to be banning TikTok, but because of all the Chinese connections that the Biden administration has to China, trying to sell us down the river with that with the Communist Party, then I don't think there's any chance of getting rid of TikTok here.
Not with this administration, Bill, not with this Congress either. We definitely aren't seeing them take any action against any of these tech companies, because I think that we also see it on Facebook. We're getting close to an election, Bill, and I'm hearing a lot of, not even conservative, but people that are willing to challenge the narrative that is being spewed by mainstream media. They are starting to really tighten down notifications for their shows. Like YouTube is not allowing certain notifications to go out for certain shows. Sometimes they're not updating on certain channels for a really long period of time. And they're starting to really, when you get this close to an election, they don't want a lot of things to get out. They don't want any criticism of this administration or the Democratic Party, because they want them to win these seats.
We are 6 weeks from yesterday away from the midterm elections. And it is nice to know that the Democrats are now on board with law and order. Have you seen the latest ads that they have about how much they've been funding the police and standing up for the police? And they're showing that soundbite with the faux president standing up there saying, "Not defund the police, fund the police." You had Dick Turpin sitting there saying, it's important for us to appreciate our law enforcement, and the Democrat Party is all behind that. Yeah, right.
Well,
Please.
I think that we were both very, very shocked when we heard that coming from the president. We were like, what is he doing? Now we know exactly what he was doing. He is getting ready for this election, and then right after the election, I think the messaging might change, Bill.
Just a tad.
Yes. Which I think that's what people really need to look at. I know that we have very short attention spans these days, but I think looking at what they've been doing for the past year instead of just looking at what they're doing right now, because what they've done for the past, actually since 2020, when you look at the riots and the burning of buildings in the streets, they've encouraged a lot of this bad behavior, and it has made your life significantly worse. And their policies have made your life significantly worse. So looking at what they've actually done, the actions that they've taken, there's a reason that we're seeing huge shortages in the police departments, like we were talking earlier.
It's because of their everywhere else too.
Yeah, well, rhetoric from these people.
The baby formula shortage hasn't gone away.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't. We don't hear a peep about that either. It's not reported anywhere, Bill.
And remember, the left used to, when you have like Morning Joke or something on BSDNC and the Communist News Network are saying that when President Trump said something, that was a dog whistle. He said that was an indicator he wanted you to take action against something, or his rhetoric was making people do bad things, whether it was school shootings or anything else that this was encouraging. So let me get this straight. So Biden goes on and he has the speech from hell, looked like Dante's Inferno there, and talks about the ultra MAGA Republicans who are doing these nasty things, and that's the big threat to America. And a guy up in North Dakota runs over a teenager, murders him, that the news media almost completely has ignored, except that the story has gotten so broadly publicized that they had to start covering it, because he heard this kid, at least it's his claim, that this kid was a MAGA Republican and he felt threatened, so he ran over him with his SUV. So far,
He hunted him down in an alley, Bill.
yeah,
Like, let's be clear. He was not threatened. He hunted this kid down. He is 40 years old. This kid is 18. I'm sorry, there's no excuse. And the fact that when he went in for his hearing, he was surprised that he was going to be held accountable for murdering this kid.
was out on $50,000 bond the next day.
And this is happening in North Dakota, Bill. How?
North Dakota, and he's, but nothing is being done to him. But I haven't heard anybody in the media say, was he encouraged by President Biden's rhetoric about the MAGA Republican, the MAGA, ultra MAGA people who are destroying this country and danger to this country? Was that a dog whistle?
Well, I think that they're creating more extremists, Bill, and, I'm not going to make that connection because everyone should be accountable for their own actions. And, the rhetoric of this president is not okay, but also the person that did this, he is responsible and he should be held accountable to the highest levels of the law.
But you see, that's the rhetoric we heard from the left. When President Trump, if Trump had given a speech like this and the roles had been reversed, this kid had run over that guy because he thought he was an ultra Democrat leaning
Antifa.
Antifa person. I can promise you, this would have been headline news. You'd still be hearing about it every morning and every afternoon.
Yeah, and I think people really need to think about that, Bill. What does it look like for the left? What does it look like for the right? And
the power to ignore is one of the biggest powers that the media has.
Well, and also to
ignoring
start
stories.
flames. I mean, really, they lie. They make their own narrative, and they create more extremists by doing this.
We're getting another. They're getting ready for more hearings with the January 6th committee, and I've had it up to here with the January. Well, I've had it more than that. They get the hip boots and shovels out. I have had it up to here with the January 6th committee and Liz Cheney, for God's sake, threatening to become a Democrat. She already is. Just go ahead and make it official, Liz, or you can go and join the crime syndicate with the rest of those cretins.
Yeah, she'll probably end up on CNN or MSNBC.
Oh, she's got. Yeah, I'm sure she's going to have a.
Or The
she's gonna have a
View.
big deal.
She could be the Republican person on The View.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. That's how they work it there.
Yeah. One Republican, but really is not a Republican.
This is Get Real America.
And we're about to get real when we get back, and we're going to talk about kind of the impacts of DAs that are backed by Soros.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it out of obligation. I don't do it because I'm told. I don't do it because I was trained. I don't do it to be bold. I stand for our national anthem because I'm forever grateful to be free. I stand for the anthem to respect those before me. We have wounded warriors who would return only if they could. Doing more for this country than any single person should. Stand up. Their lives were given for you. So as long as the Star-Spangled Banner yet wave, I stand for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's Independence Day, so let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom is under attack in your state. Dictator Ron DeSantis incredibly lets you walk around without masks. That tyrant allows your kids to go to school during the pandemic, year 2 or 4, or who the hell knows. I urge you living in Florida to join the fight. Or join us in California, where we'll take the money you earn and give it to people who don't work. Visit San Francisco, where you can walk through human feces. If you're lucky, you might step on a syringe. Check out Los Angeles, where gas is so expensive, your kids only need to skip a meal or 2 or 10 to afford it. California, where freedom means lockdowns for you, while I go to the places you can't afford. Don't let them take your freedom. Come to California, where we'll take it, along with your money.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your governor speaking. Today's training evolution, dogfighting, taking on the corporate media. The rules of engagement are as follows. Number 1, don't fire unless fired upon, but when they fire, you fire back with overwhelming force. Does it say that in the bill? I'm asking you to tell me what's in the bill. Number 2, never ever back down from a fight.
If I could complete the question, though.
So you're going to give a speech or ask a question? Number 3, don't accept their narrative. It's wrong. It's a fake narrative. I just disabused you of the narrative, and you don't care about the facts. It's why people don't trust people like you, because you peddle false narratives. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's turn up.
At my core, I'm a runner, but I wasn't always fast. Here in Wrightsville, Georgia, is where I grew up, and I got real fast. I learned discipline, faith in God, and the value of hard work. I learned about sacrificing the things you want in the moment for the future you know you can have if you work hard enough. You might stumble, make mistakes, but you only fail if you give up. The politicians pick American against American, rich versus poor, black versus white. I don't believe in that garbage. I'm a conservative, not because someone told me to be. I'm a conservative because I believe in smaller government, a strong military, and making sure all people have the opportunity to pursue their dreams. My name is Herschel Walker. I'm a kid from a small town in Georgia who's lived the American dream, and I'm ready to fight to keep that dream alive for you too. I'm Herschel Walker, and I approve this message.
Welcome back.
Glad to have you aboard. Welcome to Get Real America.
Yes, Bill, and there's lots to get real about. One of these things is these Soros-backed DAs. They're very, very dangerous. We're seeing them in cities all across the country, including
like
our own. Yes, including our own.
This was one of the things that, Brittany, we kept scratching our heads about at first, saying, why is George Soros pouring all this money into DA races in places all over the country? What's the end game here? Well, now we're finding out.
No prosecutions for people committing murders or doing all of these heinous crimes, burglaries. They're being let go. They're not holding them, and it's basically, they may get arrested, which good for our police, but what good does it do if the DA just drops the charges and releases these people?
Still filling out the paperwork while those guys are back on the street.
Exactly. So I think that also probably contributes to the fact of why people don't really want to be a cop. Like, you do your job, but it doesn't do the impact that it used to do when you're in some of these cities that are not prosecuting crimes.
Well, what about the rest of us? We're supposed to be, what's the prime directive of the government?
To protect the citizens.
Exactly.
And that's not happening.
No. And to come up with this dystopian world that they live in, that they think is utopia, where if you arrest somebody, you're just going to hurt their feelings. And if you put them out on the street, that they're just going to be fine. Have you seen that hideous video of this guy attacking this woman in the New York subway at 5:30 in the morning a few days ago, and this Hispanic woman, she's going to work at 5:30 in the morning, and she's in her 60s or 70s, and this guy comes out of nowhere, runs her down, throws her down, starts kicking her and beating her, breaks an eye, so she may lose an eye, broke I think 17 ribs, and he was at 14 he murdered his grandmother, and he attacked another woman with a screwdriver, and yet he's out on the street. But we have people in Washington who wore a Viking helmet into the Congressional building on January 6th a couple of years ago, and they're still in solitary confinement and haven't talked to a lawyer yet.
And had no charges actually filed on them. So
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal, Bill. And I also saw a subway attack. It was not the same one. Surprisingly, I think that there's a lot of them out there. But this guy was probably in his 50s or 60s. He had, I think he had like flowers, and he had something else with him. And he was just sitting there waiting to get off the train at some point, you know. And this group of, I mean, they look like children, Bill. I mean, they don't even look that old. They might be in their...
Some of them are.
Yeah, they look like they're maybe in their teens. Hit him in the head, and I mean, there was blood everywhere, just all over the subway car. And people are filming this, and that's the thing that bothers me, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
People will not do anything, but they sure will film this guy being attacked, and they don't stand up for him. And I mean, they basically just wanted his wallet. It was horrible what they did to this man. And, you know, these DAs, they're terrible. And I don't know if you just saw the shooting that happened to 5 football players, high school football players in Philadelphia,
The city of brotherly shove.
at 4:30 in the afternoon. And then the DA has the nerve to come on and say, "Oh, I'm so disgusted. This crime needs to stop."
Well,
What?
There is something that you can do about it, Mr. DA. You can start prosecuting these people. The more you let things happen, the more we're going to have of it. And did you hear in the precious state of Delaware, our president's home state, Wilmington, Delaware, there's also video of this thug that goes into a jewelry store and pistol whips the jeweler and steals $100,000 worth of diamonds.
It's unreal, Bill.
And no prosecution so far.
And I mean, I just don't even know what to tell people to do anymore. These DAs have way more power than I could have ever imagined. And they do impact the safety in every city and county, because these DAs are county DAs.
They're talking about no bond for some of these people. And where are the bondsmen, by the way, standing up saying, what are you doing to my livelihood? I make a living doing this.
Well, and not only that, I was talking to a person that, defends these people in court against the state when these charges are coming upon them. And he's like, I don't even have to really prepare for my cases. I mean, it's very easy to win because they don't bring the charges, they don't do the research, they don't do the discovery. And so, I mean, even if they are charging these people, he says it's fairly easy to get them off because the prosecutors are not doing their job.
Sooner or later, this thing comes back to bite you in the butt. There was I remember a television series years ago called Night Gallery. It was hosted by Rod Serling of Twilight Zone fame. And there was an episode in which this guy who taught anatomy at a med school needed cadavers so he was paying these thugs to go out on the street and go into ghettos and places like that and kill people, and bring in the corpse so they could have cadavers for the students to work on, and that seemed to work for him pretty well until one night they brought in his daughter.
Oh my gosh, that is really dark, Bill.
Well, exactly the point. Sooner or later, some of these DAs that don't do anything. Perhaps one day they'll bring in their wife or husband or child, and then maybe there'll be some sort of an impact. And I don't mean this with any malice or anything of that nature, but sooner or later this comes back to bite you in the butt, because there's going to be no restrictions on this. When you saw those kids break into, I was not familiar with the Wawa store when they started. What was it? I've never heard of this chain, but They're very nice stores, kind of like Costco or Walmart or something like that. And these kids go in there, and this was in Philadelphia too. All of a sudden, all these kids come charging in, and they're ransacking the place. They're stealing things. And there was actually this one woman standing there at the lunch counter, demanding to know why this guy wasn't making her sandwich.
I did see that video, Bill, and it is disturbing, the chaos in the background. It's
Yeah.
just like, I would be fearful of my life just based on, I mean, they
And
act
the guy
like
said,
animals.
It may be a little while yet before you get your sandwich, lady.
I mean, and that's the other thing. A lot of these stores are told, don't do anything, don't react, don't go after these people if they steal. That's why you see all of these Walgreens, CVS, I mean, Walmart,
Closing
all of
up.
them. Yep.
Closing up in these areas because they said unless they steal more than $900 worth of stuff, they're not going to prosecute them. $900 worth of stuff.
Yeah, I believe that's a California law.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you hear about the other California law that Gavin Newsom just signed that kids don't have to go to kindergarten to enter first grade now in the state of California? And you know why?
Why?
Because they don't have the funding. They don't have the money.
Tell them the school's run by Ukraine.
I know, right? They'll find funding quickly.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. California taxes their citizens more than any other state.
Mhm.
How do they not have the money, Bill? Where is all the money going?
Yeah, we keep hearing about all this. How your taxes are going up so that we can give you all these services. Where are the services? Where is this money going? New York City now, because they've had all this influx of because of bad old Governor Abbott and DeSantis are sending them illegal aliens. They're going to have to do something. So they're now building a tent city outside of the big park, one of the big parks in New York. And the residents there are not happy campers.
Oh, I bet they are.
And I saw one of the interviews I saw yesterday with Jesse Waters on Jesse Waters Prime Time on Fox News Channel. The guy yesterday said, "Did you vote for Joe Biden?" She said, "Yeah, I was duped."
I think people have wakened up to the fact that they were
buyer's
duped.
remorse galore going on.
I bet there is, especially in another state like New York, where they pay some of the highest taxes in the country,
Mhm.
and they probably their quality of life is probably worse than, Georgia, Stacey Abrams,
but
just for the
300 or
record.
400 illegals show up by bus at their doorstep, and suddenly they need all this national help. We need National Guard to come out, the same National Guard they were trying to throw out just a couple of years ago.
Well, did you hear Mayor Adams yesterday about how New York has a brand?
Yeah.
And then he's criticizing, he's like, people say they're from Kansas. They don't have a brand. New York, we have a brand.
We have a brand.
But,
we're building a tent city. This incompetent boob. You can't make this stuff up.
Well, I also saw a matchup with him saying that and then all of the crime and the, fires and stuff that
you
were
got a
out in the
brand, all
streets.
right.
Yeah.
People are being branded.
Yeah, I didn't think de Blasio could be beat, but I mean, this Mayor Adams has been way worse than I thought. I thought he'd be great because he was a police officer, but man, he's been terrible for New York.
Should have elected Curtis Lewa. You had your chance.
Yeah. So hopefully they've learned a lesson. Let's hope that everyone's learned a lesson and that we are going to be going out and voting for more conservative people and less crazy people.
Well, the best part is about this tent city that they're putting up. It's in AOC's district.
Oh, goodness.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to hear her comments about that.
This is Get Real America. Coming up next,
we are going to be talking about maybe some Netflix problems and also maybe Space Force when we get back.
Good news there.
Education is so important. People have always talked about what are we going to do? You're going to have school choice, you're going to have all different types of things. And I want to try to figure out how can we get kids an education? It doesn't matter what zip code you're from, but get them the education they need because education is an equalizer. And I truly, truly believe that. And that's the reason I'm here, just to see how this is working, what is going on, how you getting funding, and just what's happening. We put people in office that doesn't seem to care about this country anymore. And I said, if I can change it and I just sit back and do nothing, what kind of man will I be? But right now, I know I can change something.
No one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it.
So what do you tell those people?
Vote Republican. That's what a lot of them are going to do anyway.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, more than 1 million people transferred over to the Republican Party. I think in 2021 alone. Find out what that number is.
Than anything else? You realize that? The point is, we ask so much of you. So much of you. I've not...
There's 159 counties in the state of Georgia. And since I got into this race, I've been visiting almost every one of them just to hear from the people. They know I'm a winner. They know that I work. Well, the way I'm different is I'm not a politician, never have been. I'm a country boy that grew up in Georgia. I understand Georgia, and I'm gonna fight for Georgia. We gotta get this country back together. We gotta support our police, we gotta support our military. Most of all, we gotta support our citizens. But what I am gonna do is listen to the people. I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna work for you. And I say what I'm gonna do and I do what I'm gonna say. And we're gonna make things happen.
And we are back. I just love Herschel's commercials that have come out. He is going all around the state of Georgia right now.
And the poll numbers are very encouraging with him about up 2 or 3 points on Raphael Warnock, a reverend who has not read the Old Testament.
Yes. So I believe October 14th we'll see that debate, and I'm excited to see what they both have to say.
Of course, early voting will have already started by then, so they made that convenient for the Democrat, as well as having it on a Friday night. Made it also convenient, although it will be telecast statewide, and you'll be able to watch it later. We've applied for press credentials. haven't heard back yet.
Not yet.
Nevertheless, we're getting ready. Now, I'll tell you, they can throw all the mud at Herschel they want to. We grew up with Herschel here. We've known Herschel for almost 50 years.
And so, Herschel likes to win.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they can throw all the mud at that they want to. They can go back to this violent thing when he did have a problem with being bipolar or something along those lines. They can do all they want to. That is old hat, and we know Herschel. We know what the job he's going to do. We know how much he loves America and how much he loves this country.
Well, I love his line that he says, "I'm not a politician. I'm a warrior." Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good
comparison. And why do we keep electing politicians?
They have not done us any good. I'll tell you that much.
Herman Cain said it years ago when people said, well, you're running for Senate, but you don't have any political experience. He said, you've been electing people with political experience for the last 50 years. How's it working out for you? And when we finally got somebody who wasn't a politician in the White House, look at the great job that he did, despite the fact that he was getting brickbats from the media every day. He was getting brickbats from the left and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, every day. And yet look at what he was able to accomplish. Energy independence for the first time almost ever. If we had that now, think of how much that we could be helping our allies with, because they're getting ready to freeze to death over in Europe. And there's just been that sabotage of the pipeline over in Denmark. And so depending on Russia for their fuel is not the best idea they ever had. And President Trump warned them about that. And when that incompetent Boubet in charge of Germany was closing down nuclear power plants, he said, that ain't the best idea you ever had.
Yeah, and I think one thing to really think about is, regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump and maybe his personality, he does have one that is maybe an acquired taste for some, Bill.
Don't care. It's the results that I care about.
Exactly. I think that people really need to think about that, and also think about some of the things that he did, and something I have a hard time with, because I don't think government should be funding any schools, any universities, but he did fund 2 black universities, and then the second that Joe Biden went into office, he took it back. Yeah. So I think those are things that people really need to look at the actions of these people and what they're supporting, and decide if that is really someone that you align with or not.
He was the first one that gave up a lot of help to the what they call historically black universities. And yet they continue to stab him in the back, and when you have this racist like Joe Biden gets in office and he cuts it out, we haven't heard Pete Turkey from him.
No.
And the president, the good split screen that I saw last night on Fox, at this point of President Trump's presidency, your income was up $4,600 on average. At this point in the Biden presidency, your income is down $4,200. People are deciding whether or not they can, they either put gas in the car, and if you get an electric vehicle, that's going to help a lot. Where are you going to get the extra $20,000 to buy one, and then where are you going to charge it up? We got a storm here coming. What are the chances of you getting electricity? That usually one of the first things to go in a tropical storm is the electric grid.
Yeah, that's why we run off of gas generators, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the power goes out. It's
yeah,
weird.
Exactly.
So, I just think that those are some things for people to really think about. Like, look at the policy, because that's what really impacts your life, regardless of personality. I surround myself with people that I really like, enjoy their company in my personal life. As far as the president goes, if he is doing the right policy decisions, I don't necessarily care that much about his personality. That's just my 2 cents, because I know what impacts my life. Joe Biden, he's basically, the personality is not really there. And
he's not really there.
You're correct. And it doesn't really, the decisions that he's making impact my life in such a worse way that I'm like, I don't care how nice of a person you are. It doesn't mean I want you to represent me. And I don't necessarily think that Joe Biden is a nice person, but
no, he's not.
That's what we were sold.
No, but you can tell. But the proof is in the pudding. Look at what we were able to accomplish. We had the best economy in the nation's history. We had the least inflation in the nation's history. And look what's happened in less than 2 years under this submoron who doesn't have a clue. And did you hear they have the unmitigated gall to go on the air yesterday and demand that gasoline stations start lowering their prices again?
That's not how
this
it works.
guy has had no experience in business whatsoever, except getting money as the big guy from his son, going out making these multi-million-dollar deals with China and sleeping with Chinese spies.
He's basically the mafia.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
at a national level.
But he doesn't understand free enterprise whatsoever, or economics. Just going on and telling, okay, well, I had a $36,000 operation a few years ago. That operation only took about 3 hours. Why was it a $3,600 operation? They didn't need to take that much money from my insurance company.
What they do doesn't make sense. What they talk about, the narrative that they're trying to sell people really need to dig in and ask questions. And I highly, highly recommend that you always do your own research. Do not believe everything you hear.
Telling the gas companies you can't go after our own oil, and then draining our strategic oil reserve, which we may need very shortly with all of these, storms and things coming up and other things, and we've got bad guys coming in. We may need that, but we're not going to have it because it's been drained. That's one of the reasons that the prices have been artificially low on fuel. But you notice as that supply gets lower in the strategic oil reserve, notice the prices of gas have started going up again.
Yep, and we'll see what happens after the election, Bill, because I don't think that trend will continue. I think after the election we will see prices increase.
You need to get to the polls in a hurry.
Yes.
And I mean, don't make any excuses.
November
you need
8th.
to vote.
November 8th, vote in person and vote in droves. Take a friend, take 5 friends.
We're 41 days out.
Yes.
And you need to get yourself and a friend and go out and vote, because the polls might say that it's looking good for Republicans, but it's only going to say that. It's only going to be a reality if you vote. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Well, I don't particularly like that guy. I'm sorry. You're voting for the other person if you don't.
Vote on policy, not personality.
Exactly.
That's my big thing. And really quick, I just want to get to some positive news, because we've definitely had a lot of negative. But Space Force has actually released their new song.
They have their new fight. So just like, we have, the caissons go rolling along for the Army. We have, Here We Go Into the Wild Blue Yonder for the Air Force. We have, the Coast Guard song. We have the Marine Hymn, which is probably the best known of all the anchors away for the Navy. Now Space Force has its own song.
Here it is. So Semper Supra actually means above all. Or always above. That's what it is.
Always above.
Always above. So I love that for the Space Force. I think we should get more excited about stuff that they're doing in space. There a lot of excitement back in the day, and I think that, we need to bring it back, Bill.
We do. And you can remember when I grew up in the era of putting the first men into space, and you could see people at Grand Central Station in New York. Everybody stopped to watch the space launches. It was amazing. It was exciting in the competition with the Russians at the time. But if we don't continue our space research and our space force, the enemy will, because China is investing a lot of money. They're already putting objects on the moon. So we need to support our space force and make sure that our space program is the best ever.
And guess what? It's something that everyone can rally around. It's exciting. It's non-political. It's fun. I think we need to bring more stuff back like this, Bill.
Well, it's the education, the spin-off products that we get from it. If you just go to spin-off products from NASA and see everything that we have that we would not have, or it would have taken us longer to develop had it not been for the Space Force. You're enjoying maybe listening to this, and you've got little earpieces that nobody can see, you can thank the space program. All the modern monitoring equipment for heartbeats and everything else that we have in our hospitals, you can thank the space program. The list goes on and on. Artificial surfaces and carpets and everything that we have now, you can thank the space program.
So we thank the space program for bringing us all of this technology, and also what they're going to do for us moving forward, Bill.
Keep you up to date also on, because of the Space Force, we have modern technology like satellites that keep us posted on what's going on in the tropics, and we're keeping an eye on Hurricane Ian that's coming our way, unfortunately, and you keep an eye on it as well. We'll have an update for you tomorrow on the Thursday edition of Get Real America.
Remember to follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Vimeo, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
See you tomorrow. Stay safe.